Lana, 6 days. It's prediction time. Because I'm assuming this may be the last time you and I see each other until election night.
Are we
I
gonna
will
do
be
it
here
by
on election
state?
night.
Are we doing states that she's gonna win, battleground states, or are we just predicting the
Whatever
whole?
you want to predict. This is your forum just as much as it is mine.
Let's talk about the states. What do you?
Okay.
So
let's go over the states. Do you want to go over the swing states one by one?
Yes.
Where do we want to start? Let's start with Nevada, because as soon as I think of swing states, I think of Nevada because that's where Las Vegas is, and I love Las Vegas very, very much. So let's start with your prediction on Nevada.
I think she's going to pull it off. I think.
Are you writing this down, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, write down our predictions so we can see if they are correct. I think she's going to win Nevada as well.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay. Both checks.
So let's go to Arizona.
Oh. Honestly, I think she's going to win Arizona.
You know what? I think she's going to pull it off. And here's why. This is why I think she's going to pull off Arizona. If you look at the Senate race between Gallego and Lake.
Yes.
He has been winning by a pretty decent margin the entire time. Who is going in and voting for Gallego? And because Lake is the female Donald Trump.
Right, exactly. Right. Why would you do Rubin and then Trump? Like, that doesn't make sense. I think she's going to win too there. I think it won't be by a landslide, but I think she's going to pull that off too.
I do too. Okay. Let's move over to my northern neighbor, Georgia.
Georgia. She's going to win Georgia.
You know, it's funny. I think so too. I mean, I think she's going to wind up pulling it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying it just to say. I got some reasonings as to why I believe. If you look at Georgia just over the last few elections, 2020 they went blue. 2022 they went blue. They had to elect 2 different senators, and those 2 senators were going to make the difference in who controlled the Senate in 2022. And one was running against one of the biggest legends in the history of the state, Herschel Walker.
Right.
And you know, so you had both of those senators pulling off huge wins in Georgia, and it seems to me like that state is just swinging, blue. I mean, it's
and you don't have Kemp on the ballot, right? And Kemp's not on that ballot either, so it doesn't kind of like mess it up and skew whatever. So it's just like it's Kamala and Trump, and like you said, and just Georgia, just the numbers, the sheer numbers coming out of Georgia for early voting is astronomical. Like,
that's another good.
Yeah, point. That's kind of, and it's a lot of women. That ground game, Stacey Abrams and Tasha Brown, that ground game, what's going on in Georgia right now, if you thought it was good with Biden, it's even better now. So I think that she's going to get, like, I don't know how she loses Georgia, to be honest with you, if they have, because more people are voting, way more people are voting.
I also want to throw in this. Yes, I want to throw in this caveat as well. I truly do believe this whole Puerto Rican garbage thing is going to make a difference in these states. I truly do. Now, one place where it may not, I don't know if they have do they have a big population in North Carolina? Because that's our next state.
I think they said with all the battleground states, there are between 50,000 and 100,000 in each state. So I don't know the exact number, but at least 50,000 are in.
Hell, I mean, half of the 50,000, or I mean, even 20 of the 50,000.
Pennsylvania was the biggest one.
Yes, yeah,
the biggest population.
Yep. Okay, so North Carolina.
Wait, so Georgia, we're both a yes. Yeah. We're probably gonna be the same.
I don't think there's gonna be any surprise where we end up here, but North Carolina. Is she gonna pull out North Carolina? Because that's gonna be, now that one, I think, will be probably the toughest at all of them. Maybe them, Arizona and Georgia are going to be the 3, I think, that are going to be the toughest. But North Carolina, Lana, should we just go ahead and say it?
That's a toss up. I'm going to say yes because of Mark
Robinson. I think that's exactly right. I think that too is going to make a difference because, again, you see the blowout. Mark Robinson has almost no chance. Baby Juggernaut lives in North Carolina. She already says they're taking it back.
They're not going back.
So yes, I think the Mark Robinson thing, I think they're going to pull that out. Okay, let's go to the big blue ball, Lana. Let's start with Wisconsin.
We got Wisconsin.
Yeah, no question.
I mean,
and let's not kid ourselves. She's winning Michigan and Pennsylvania too, right?
There's no way she can't win Michigan. She's got all the auto workers in the union, and like they love her. In Pennsylvania, Shapiro. Like, how are you gonna vote Shapiro into office and be like, you know what, I'm gonna vote for Trump now?
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense either.
I think so too. And, because this was part of my prediction. Part of my prediction is that she will sweep all the swing states and the other main reason is, and if you're a Trumper and you're listening
to
this,
Pennsylvania and which one did we say?
Michigan and Wisconsin. Yep. So if you're a Trump supporter, here is probably the biggest and main reason why. First of all, let me state that Kamala Harris is way more than qualified to be president of the United States. Before I move on, I want to say real quick. So I just jumped on TikTok. I haven't been on it very long. So I put out these videos and most of them get maybe, I don't know, some of them get anywhere in the 200 to 800 views.
Yeah.
I got one that got 196,000.
What did you say?
Unfortunately, the worst part about it is that almost everything I said on it was wrong. That's the one that got the most views. So what I said was, one was a mistake. I meant to say the only president, not only person. But I said Kamala Harris is going to be the only president to be in the executive, judicial, and legislative branch. Mm-hmm. Somebody did point out that she's never been in the judicial branch. And if you stop for a second and you thought about it, you're like, well, shit, you're right. Because being an attorney is not the judicial branch. That's the executive branch.
Right.
Judicial branch is judges and stuff like that, which she has served in.
Right.
So, I mean, I got tons of people giving me all kinds of kudos on it, but then I'm like, shit. I kind of
it was right. That's hilarious. That's awesome.
Who gives a shit? It got me some followers too.
And it's
but
so
anyway,
weird, TikTok, right? Like one video could get like 25, and then the next get like just go. You're like,
it's so bizarre. But anyway, my point is that regardless of whether or not she was in the judicial branch or not, she's extremely qualified to be president of the United States. But what I was going to tell the MAGA people and the Trump people, the main reason why I believe, and Lana can speak to this as well on her own, the reason why she's going to sweep all of these states is because we are fucking exhausted by this guy. We are tired of him. The United States overall, the majority of people, whether it be 51% to 49%, although Donald Trump has never polled over 47%, you got to poll over 47% to win these elections.
Right.
But he is going to lose worse than he did to Joe Biden. He's going to lose by maybe 10 million votes.
And that's the thing. That's why I'm like, there's no way she can lose because Joe Biden beat him, but Joe Biden won in a squeaker. She's doing so much more. He won in a squeaker during the pandemic. She's doing like running circles around him and Obama.
And Donald Trump was the incumbent at the time too, which is very difficult to beat.
Right.
So, that's a big point. But here's the reason why I'm predicting this. And I'm predicting the sweep because for the most part, the country is exhausted by this guy. There are people who are smart enough to go, fucking pets being eaten. Oh, by the way, I have a 13-year-old daughter, and if she gets raped, you're going to force her to have this rape baby. Project 2025.
JD Vance may be president.
JD Vance will be president. So let's just not. JD Vance and Elon Musk will be running this country if Donald Trump wins. And I know it's going to be so satisfying for anybody watching this is a MAGA person that, in fact, that if he does win, we'll address that if it happens. But I feel confident that she's going to sweep these states, mostly not just because she's qualified and because she's had basically a flawless campaign and has really not had one bad day. But I think the country is exhausted with this guy and they're done with him. They're done with this Jerry Springer politics shit. And it is time, as Kamala Harris says, to turn the page and to move forward from this nonsense so we can get back to normal. Lana, I want politics to be boring. I don't care if you and I do our show. And if people during the Trump time, there was thousands of people watching it. If we have to go back to just me and you talking about boring politics all night and two people are watching, that's fine by me. I'm 100% fine with that because I am done with this fucking shit. I'm done with it. And I don't hope. This is my prediction. I said you before. By 11 o'clock that night, it's going to be such a blowout that she is going.
Yeah, because if she gets those, then, Pennsylvania, whatever. So we can go on and we're going to know Michigan.
Yep.
For sure. Georgia takes a while.
Yeah, I'm going to let you give what you think, your final thing on the predictions. And then I want to do what our biggest surprise will be that night.
Well, wait, hold on. So what do you think? Are we going to hold the House? I mean, get the House. I'm sorry, hold the House.
Yes. And by the way, that's really going to be just as, or maybe even more important, is to win the House.
Correct.
My guess is if they win the House, she's going to win the presidency.
Correct.
But there are reports that these crazy nuts and Mike Johnson and all these people will pull shenanigans if Donald Trump does not win. Now, here's the good news. The good news is that if the Democrats do win the House, they are sworn in on January 3rd, which is 3 days prior to the president being sworn in.
Right.
So if the Democrats are sworn in on January 3rd, then they can proceed with going and certifying the election like normal people will.
Right.
But if the Republicans control the House, that's where we're going to see a shit show like you've never seen before. And this country will, it's going to be even hard to explain to anybody who does not follow this enough. But this is going to be the worst time in the history of at least the modern part of our country.
Yeah, because Mark Johnson, either he'll try something or he'll chicken out. So I'm not
Mike Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, what I call him, Mark.
Not Mark. It doesn't matter, but
Mike Johnson. Yeah, I think I can see him not going forward with whatever Trump thinks that they got going on. Like we got this secret. So what about the Senate? We think we're gonna get it by one?
Well, see, here's the key to the Senate, Lana.
Nebraska.
I think we're gonna need. Well, he's an independent, but still, we don't know where he's gonna caucus. So
he said he's not caucusing with anybody. He's just gonna be there, but that's okay because
it's not a Republican. So.
Right. He's for women's rights. Like he's not saying I don't want to caucus with Democrats. I'm going to caucus with Republicans. He just hates everybody. So he's just going to be, but at least he sounds like he's a decent guy and he's going to look at, whatever comes in front for a vote, like really look at it and not just be like, oh yeah, I'm siding with the Democrats. I think he's going to be realistic on it. So hopefully,
right. And there are plenty of independents who have been. Bernie Sanders was an independent. Yeah, exactly. Angus King is another one. I mean, there've been independents.
Isn't Bernie still an independent?
Yeah. Well, I think didn't he have to declare being a Democrat when he ran?
Did he turn back into an independent? I don't know.
Because he ran as a Democrat. I think he kept the Democrat. I don't think he bothered going back.
But he was an independent for all those years. So
correct. That is correct. He was an independent up until he ran for president.
Right.
So, and I was always the Bernie Sanders fan, even prior to him running for president, because I always see him on Bill Maher. I'd see him on a lot of these talk shows, and he was compelling when he spoke. So, but I think the other key to the Senate, to holding on to the Senate, John Tester is going to be a tough one. From everything I've seen, that it may be very difficult for him to hold on, which kind of is a shame because he's been senator there and people know him. And now you have this billionaire guy coming in who's going to take over. And it's just like, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
Sherrod Brown in Ohio, he's got a better chance of winning. Yeah. But Lana, there's two other races that I think people should not be falling asleep on. Colin Allred versus Ted Cruz in Texas.
Oh my God, hope so.
Because if that one happens, and then of course here in the state of Florida, we have Tim Scott versus Debbie Marcusel Powell.
Yeah,
and that is a very close race too.
Yeah, so she may be able to pull that out.
I think she is, because he had to just spend another $1.5 million on his campaign recently, which means he's being told that, hey, buddy, this is not a runaway. You do not have this in the bag. And,
and women are mad in Florida because that ballot initiative may pass for putting abortion on the books, right? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yep. So, and you got to get 60%, which means you have to bring out a lot of people in order for that amendment.
But they brought out a lot of people to vote, to sign that petition. So I would hope that everyone that signed, that they got the numbers to follow back to get them to the polls to vote.
Consider yourself a monster dipshit that if you sign the petition and you didn't go out and vote for it. I mean, come on, what are we doing?
I just imagine that Democrats would have definitely gotten those numbers, and then because that's part of the ground game to get those people out to the polls to make sure that they're going back. So hopefully Debbie can do that, because
because if they pull off one of those two, then the Jon Tester one, you still have, the key is to hold on to the Senate. It's obviously going to be more difficult. And if you look at the numbers, just the poll numbers, that the Republicans will be favored to win the Senate. But, the Democrats are favored to win the House. So we'll see. I think at this point right now, God. The House, I feel good about. The Senate, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Well, hopefully Tester. Yeah, it does. It sounds bad for Tester, but nice. Hopefully, Sherrod Brown, though. I liked his interview today where he kind of distanced himself from Kamala, because he has to do that and be like, I'm for the people. I'm from the, the blue collar people. Like, he had to just put himself I'm focused on my race. I don't dabble in whatever they got going on. This is here.
And by the way, another fact, just in the whole presidential race, did you see the latest poll out of Kansas?
No.
Trump was only up. He won, I believe, by 14 points in 2020. He was only up by 5 points in Kansas.
Well, that makes sense because of that ballot initiative too. Because them women are like, "Fuck this shit."
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's very telling to me. When you can move a state like Kansas that much, that means Kansas is not just the only one. I think all these
What was the one we were talking about the other week? There was another state that was solid red.
I think it was Iowa. Was it Iowa that was something that made? It was, because I think Iowa was only 6 points or 5 points.
There was movement there too. I mean, that will win, but like you said, it shows a trend.
Correct. Yep. Biggest surprise. What do you think the biggest surprise of the night will be?
Biggest surprise of the night?
Oh, I got mine.
Biggest surprise of the night. I don't even know. Tell me yours.
Okay. I'm going to tell you one.
Oh, wow. You have more than one surprise of the night?
I got maybe a couple.
Okay.
Number one, the first biggest surprise of the night. Everybody prepare yourselves. Strap yourselves in. Kamala Harris is going to win my state of Florida. That's my biggest surprise of the night. The abortion initiative.
Oh, that's going to win. That's
the fact that Debbie Marcusel Powell is in a very close race with Tim Scott tells me something. And I want to tell you something, Lauren, and I think I discussed this with you last night. I spoke to a gentleman that I had worked for when I was in the car business, and this was over 4 years ago that I worked for this gentleman. And he's a staunch Republican conservative. And out of the blue, he called me the other day. And I have a lot of respect for this guy because he's intelligent. He's an intelligent guy and he knows his stuff. And I appreciate him calling me because I think he feels that I'm an intelligent guy and I know my stuff, and it would be an intelligent conversation between. And see, I love having the intelligent. I'm done. I honestly, these conversation with MAGA people, it's just so. It hurts your brain. So this kind of stuff is a good workout for the brain because there's a good back and forth. So anyway, just get to the point. Longtime conservative. He said he never voted for Trump in 2016, didn't vote for him in 2020, says he's not voted for him in 2020. He says, I have a group of people that have the same thoughts as me, conservatives. Mm-hmm. They have voted for Trump in the past, and they told me they are never voting for him again. Wow. I work with a couple of women, one who voted for Trump twice, who told me she will never vote for him again. I am hearing that more and more and more in the state of Florida than I have ever heard in my life. In the town I live in a liberal town because there's a college here, but at the outskirts of it, it might as well be Alabama. So I would see Trump signs all over the place in 2020. I would see Trump flags flying, but I have literally seen none. I have not seen one Trump flag flying through this town. The only bumper stickers I see say Trump and Pence on it. I don't even see the updated Trump van. I see 0 yard signs, although I will admit I haven't seen a lot of yard signs in the town I live in. But I do see Kamala yard signs. Not a whole bunch, but I do see Kamala ones. But Florida is my big surprise. Have you thought of a surprise yet?
No, because I don't want to.
Do you think Cruz or Powell is going to win, or do you think Allred or Powell will win one of those races?
I think Allred should win. Like
I do too.
Like, because I can see people voting for Trump and then Colin. Like I see that because they fucking hate him so much.
Yep.
And he barely won his last election, and more people are out, and he's got more people behind him, and he has Republicans behind him too. So. Maybe
is that your surprise? Do you want to put that down as your surprise?
Sure, let's put that down as. But that's not really. Well, it's not really a surprise.
I think it would be because when you beat a juggernaut, like not a baby juggernaut, but if you beat a juggernaut like Ted Cruz, that whether people like him or you don't like him, that is surprising. That will actually.
So you're saying the whole state of Florida is going to go for Kamala?
Well. I mean, obviously, there's going to be plenty of people in the state of Florida that are going to vote for Donald Trump. But yes,
I mean, you know what I mean. I mean,
yes, yeah.
The state of Florida is gonna.
Florida is my surprise that Florida is going to win, and that is the reason why this will be wrapped up by 11 o'clock that night.
I mean, the Villages. You've never seen the Villages come
out
for a Democrat. That's
by the way, got quite a few. There's a pretty big Puerto Rican population here in the state of Florida as well.
I mean, the fucking Haitian population in Florida. Are you kidding me?
That too.
That's what's in Florida. And the thing about the Villages is they want their Social Security and their Medicaid. They know. And that's the thing. People, I mean, we joke around, people don't pay attention and low information. But honestly, the bulk of people know what the hell is going on. Like, that's why in 2020, people voted him out because they knew that what he was doing with COVID, right? Like, they understood it sometimes at the last minute. But even now, women know, seniors know, military know. I don't think the bulk of the military are voting for this man. They didn't even want to count their votes overseas.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure I'm prepared to say that just yet, but I know that there are more people in the military that have said, no, not vote for this guy ever again. That is for sure.
Yeah.
But I think, I was going to say, people do know. Unfortunately, I do. Like, I work with an older lady, sweet lady. Mm-hmm. She's very, very nice, but she is staunch Donald Trump. She's from Louisiana. So she's very, very she thinks Donald Trump is great. Mm-hmm. And but she is somebody that's going to be collecting Social Security soon. And I think I mentioned it to her once, and she's like, that's never going to happen. That's going to happen. And, you know, I've also made this point before too. And I think you and I talked about this last night, is that when people say, we bring up all the things like Project 2025, we bring up the Social Security thing, it could be going away. We talk about all these different things that could be going away. And it's coming from the Trump camp. And you hear people go, well, what are the chances of that really happening? Why would you take a chance? Why would you take any chance on it happening anyway? If this is coming from them, why would you take the chance?
Unbelievable.
It really is. It really, really is. But all right. Well, Lana, I'm glad you have your predictions. So I have a prediction. You will not be joining me on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. My stomach's gonna hurt.
Maybe you could pop in, you know.
Yeah, maybe I'll pop in for a minute or two. It'll be early. 8 is early in counting votes because they just close at 8, so we won't know too much anyway.
Right. Well, we'll take, you know, I will be here, and this could give the MAGA people the opportunity to come troll me if things go your way. I
know Florida will know right away because they're the fastest state.
Yeah, they do. They don't fuck around. I mean, they get, you know, right on it. One thing I don't, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, Lana, but you have different states and they get the mail-in ballots. Why can't they just count the mail-in ballots as they come in? Why do they have to wait that day?
They got to pass laws for that, apparently, to do that. That's why they don't do it, because
that doesn't benefit either party. Like, what is what's the point of not counting the ballots that particular day?
I don't get it. Michigan is doing it, right? That's why Michigan's going to come out faster this year, because they just passed a law that they can actually start counting them early. So that's why they're going to be all set.
Maybe the only thing I can think of is if they're sealed, you cannot screw or tamper with anything. But if they're already open, maybe you can tamper. And if there's a recount, I don't know. That's the only thing.
Michigan is starting early. Like, Michigan has started.
You're talking about the states that don't do it, though.
Yeah. Right, but I'm saying Michigan passed a law. Like, they had to pass something. Right? So maybe the states just, I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know if anybody in the comments knew, you know, let us know. But anyway, I will definitely be here. Well, I'll probably do one more show before Tuesday night. But I will definitely be back Tuesday night. Lana may or may not be jumping in and joining me, because I understand certainly, because I'm going to be just as nervous too. And trust me, if things don't go our way, you know, we're smiling now and we're celebrating already.
Dude, if we start losing them states, I'm going to be like, it's rigged. It's rigged. Like, it would have to be. Legitimately, it would have.
Do you have a militia costume? Because me and you, we'll go right up to that damn Capitol.